Bulvanaka everybody, and welcome to another episode of Stylish. I'm your host Faz. Today we speak to two internet celebrities, Natasha Weleilakeba and Davina Kunalagi, about their journey towards becoming influencers. Before we meet our very special guest today, I would like to speak to you about what an influencer is. There is a lot of misconception that influencers are only celebrities or are people who don't necessarily live in Fiji. What a lot of people don't realize is that quite the majority of influencers are actually termed micro-influencers, or people who have between 1,000 and 100,000 followers. We have quite a number of those people in Fiji, myself included in fact. But what I will say is that these influencers have a particular niche, or they have a particular target audience whom they can influence. Essentially, it's not also just about the number of followers you have, but about your actual level of influence. If you are a person who has 1,000 followers or even 10,000 followers, how many of your followers would be willing to listen to one of your recommendations? If you created a product, would that product sell based on your level of influence? If you recommended a product, would people take your recommendation? These are the sorts of things that are taken into account when we assess who an influencer is. Internet celebrities are also influencers because of the fact that they are so popular, but also they have a strong following based on what it is that they do or their output. The two that we're speaking to today, for example, Davina, one of our examples today, is an internet comedian. Davina is so incredibly funny and is in fact one of my most favorite people to watch on social media, having primarily a Facebook following. Davina's voice has been taken to dub many TikTok videos over the last couple of months, and in fact Davina has created many iconic moments and iconic sayings through Facebook. Davina's Facebook profile is a private profile, which means that you have to be a friend to access his otherwise hilarious videos. But due to his popularity and his enduring sense of self and identity online, Davina's videos have been shared thousands and thousands of times across platforms, both privately and publicly. Davina is recognized as one of Fiji's only comedians online. Natasha Weleilakeba, who lives and studies in Sydney ordinarily but is in Fiji due to COVID-19, has built up a following based on her lifestyle. Natasha's Instagram profile is the most followed Instagram profile on Fiji with over 50,000 followers. She has more recently begun to use her following to endorse products, particularly those of small to medium enterprises, using her following for good. Natasha's Instagram profile is essentially a photo diary where she keeps a record of her life, her lifestyle, her family, her parents, her siblings, the places she travels to, her favorite places to eat. It is basically a snapshot into her life. This is why she has had such an enduring following online, and why she was able to create what we now know quite fondly as the Tash pose. This is when she says her Instagram following really blew up. She was doing an attachment at Harvard University when she came up with the Tash pose, which became an instant internet sensation. She then used her growing platform to raise money for good causes and continues to do that now. Natasha has also done something that most influencers hope to do, in that she has monetized her platform. She endorses brands for which she gets paid for, and sometimes for which she gets product in return. Is being an influencer a full-time job? Yes, it can be, if it is monetized, and that's something that Natasha is going to speak to us about. Monetizing essentially means that you earn money from your social media platforms. It means that you are able to get people to advertise through you, you're able to get people to sponsor you to promote their brands, or you are able to exchange your service as an influencer for product. There are a number of influencers in the world who are travel influencers. They travel the world living at resorts, and they are paid to live in those resorts for their following. Again, just having a large number of followers isn't enough. Generally speaking, corporates and businesses look at Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok engagements. So how many people are actually liking or commenting on the content that you create? Also, the aesthetic of content is important. So how does one become an influencer? Eva Chen, a social media strategist who's worked for a long time at Instagram, has said that authenticity is what creates an influencer. Share what you truly love. Share your actual life. Share what it is that you love most doing, and find your niche. If you do this, then the likelihoods of you becoming an influencer are very, very high. Of course, it's important to begin with, and also throughout your career as an influencer, to ensure that you're supporting good causes. In our case right now in Fiji, it's important that we are all, as far as possible, supporting small to medium businesses. If you have a platform, if you have more than 1,000 followers, congratulations, you are a micro-influencer. You have the ability to tell your followers what it is that you love, what it is that you want to do, and where it is you think they should support. If you have small to medium businesses in your neighborhood, if you have micro businesses that you regularly support at the market, at the flea market, or wherever else, encourage your followers to go and support these businesses. In doing this, you grow your following and you become a bigger influencer. In doing so, you will one day probably be able to also monetize your account, similar to what Tasha's done. Coming up after the break, we speak to Davina Kunalagi about what it's like for him being an internet celebrity and a comedian at that. Everybody, and Davina to my very special guest, Davina Kunalagi. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. You are one of my favorite internet celebrities.
Oh, thank you. Stop.
How does it feel being an internet celebrity? I mean, did you ever think that you would become an internet celebrity?
First of all, to be labeled as one, that's flattering. And especially in this age and time where everything is all on technology. But then at the same time, it's also humbling that you get to share ideas or maybe be of influence in a way to certain people or to the people around you in the community in general. It's humbling, yes.
I think that it's interesting in that, like, we have over the last couple of years in particular developed an influencer community, and I think that we're always so focused on influencers who live and exist within Suva that we don't often get to hear from influencers such as yourself who live in my hometown of Sigatoka. So I mean, what is that like for you? Sort of entering that space and sort of looking at what's happening in Suva, but then having your own perspective. Do you ever feel excluded, or do you feel like you present a new perspective?
I love the fact that that the direction that the influencer community has been inclusive, or I must have found my way into the scene and also taken it into my own direction and putting Sigatoka in the light, and also giving it your own twist, and with what you love, especially with fashion and style, and mostly what I love to talk about in general is everything fashion or travel, and mostly storytelling, because I love reading, I love books. And most of what I get influenced with is through books, and I interpret it with what I wear and communicate it with social media and other platforms that I'm able to share it with to the world and to the friends and to society in general. And yeah, I'm grateful for that.
I mean, you mentioned fashion. You do have a very unique sense of style. And I think that what I find most interesting is that your style is always evolving, but it evolves quite quickly. So what I've seen is that I've seen Davina on a Monday be completely different to who Davina is on a Wednesday in terms of your social media output. And I think it's quite inspiring. But what is it that inspires you in that change? Like, how do you go from like bikini on the beach one day to like what you're wearing today, for example? I understand that you're wearing purple in support of lupus awareness.
Oh yes, I'd like to give a shout out to all my family and friends who are battling lupus. Yes, my heart goes out to you. And also with what you said, my mood changes, and also I dress to my mood, and also it goes with what I am diagnosed with, which is bipolar, psychosis, mania, and depression. And that is inclusive of mood swings, and also I also work with what's around me, and I dress up every day to express myself and to also feel comfortable with what I do, and also with depending on the environment I'm in. And yeah, so I basically improvise with what I have. And it depends if I dress up or dress down to attract or deflect attention. It's basically, it's how I wake up and feel, yeah.
So, I mean, following the vein of mental health, how do you feel social media has an impact on mental health, particularly with people, canceling, throwing shade, attacking people on social media? What's your response to that?
I feel like it has gone out of fashion, throwing shade, and nowadays it's all about enlightenment and uplifting people, and also bringing positive content to your newsfeed, and inspiring your friends. Do whatever you feel that is healthy for your mental health, which is to feel free to to block or unfriend them, because there's a long list of friends waiting on your friend request, and you do not have, and yeah, we do not have the time in the world to dwell in negative energy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you feel like the shift that you've made from, like you said, from a person who threw shade to somebody who wants to now spread positivity, do you feel that that's been good for you?
It has really done a lot of wonders to me, especially these past few mornings after I blocked negative people who bring, who are so used to toxic contents, apart from their very enlightening posts, or to promote certain things like small businesses that has been really affected by this pandemic. It's ridiculous, like to promote something and then to push down, belittle people who are trying to, who are suffocating in this pandemic. That is hypocrisy right there, especially if you're someone of influence. At the end of the day, that's where it's very important, to ground know your roots, stay grounded, be humble. It's okay to be fabulous, but at the same time, know your people, know the people you influence on social media, and yeah, that's where you tailor make your message to really to bring out the best in people. Yeah.
I like that. I really, really like that. Tell me now, in terms of the way that you dress, your fashion sense, the way that you present yourself every day, is that a way for you to shield yourself from the world, or is it a way for you to deal with the world?
Of course, in a way, yes. I think percentage, yes. Fashion is our armor.
So your clothing, how you choose to dress, you've described it as an armor. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yes. Fashion can be an armor, or you can attract attention or deflect attention. It depends on how I feel on that particular day, or the occasion, or the environment. And sometimes, and most of the times, as a flamboyant personality like us, and out there in the world, as I mix around with the basics of everyday people, and I can even end up with the higher echelons of society. It's amazing how people respond to you, and like we said, fashion is an armor. People can either attack you or victimize you or anything, but then if you feel good with what you wear and the selection of clothing that you have selected for the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All the insults that's hurled at you, it doesn't even do anything. It's just like Ephesians 6.
Coming up after the break, we continue our conversation with Davina. Okay, now, you are funny. You are so funny. And I think that something that's been so major in terms of your come up as a celebrity has been comedy. And I think that perhaps it's never been framed in that way, but essentially, you are a comedian. You intelligently put words together, put scenarios together to make people laugh. How do you respond to how popular you've become? I mean, I was talking to some of these kids who are on TikTok, and there are literally like hundreds, if not thousands, of people who take your vocals from the videos that you do and reenact your scenarios.
Oh my
how,
God.
how does that feel, like to have had that?
At first I was impressed, and then now I'm insulted. Yeah.
Explain that.
I don't know, like sometimes it's because, like I said, my mood keeps swinging, and then at one point I'll be like live on top of the world about it, and then sometimes I'm really serious with myself, like I beat myself up depending on the situation or whatever I'm facing in life. So, and I hear my voice with some phones somewhere playing off with the kids in the village or wherever I am. It varies. Like my reaction to that varies, and Back to the question. Can you remember?
You sort of. I mean, essentially, you bring so much joy to people.
Oh yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy about that. Yeah, I'm happy about the comedic side, because our community, the gay community, has been attacked. It has been, so that's our escape, is to laugh things off.
Comedy.
Yeah. And so I like to bring people joy, to bring life to the party, of course, and at the same time also have an educational undertone to it. And so with entertainment, I have no problem with that. But then if it's over abused, like repetition, is a turn off for me. Yeah.
Which is why also you're always creating something new. Yeah?
I have to.
Do you have any particular inspiration for what it is that you do? So when you go out and you do your videos, do you think about it before you do it, or do you just do it?
I love to be abrupt. I love spontaneity, and also my inspiration is diverse and is everywhere. It's scattered, like my life and my hot mess.
I've never actually heard anybody describe themselves like that on television, and I love that.
Oh, thank you.
So tell me about the birth of Davina. I mean, clearly, it seems like your purpose is to be an influence. And so, I mean, it seems like that's what you're best at. It seems like your strength is bringing joy and laughter. So tell me about the birth of Davina, and then we'll talk about the future of Davina. So how was Davina born?
Davina was born when I got out of rehab, and I had to recreate myself. So.
And when was that? Sorry.
That was in the middle of 2007. So everyone in my lot in high school has gone to tertiary by then. So I couldn't go back to high school. I think I went to high school for a little bit in Dubu College, and then that's when I started escaping, because that's straight out of rehab. I didn't know like what society will be like with the stigma of mental health, and what society perceives or with mental health issues and patients coming out of St. Giles Hospital, because that's the only place to get treatment in Fiji. And I started falling hard with peer pressure, and my parents like took me out of school and then straight to university. So that's when I came to Suva. And when I came to Suva, that's when I met up with my high school friends. But they were in the other cliques. That's when I started mingling with the Suva kids and others. So I mixed up the crowd. So the people who surround yourself with either make you or break you. I believe in that so strongly. And I'm thankful and grateful for the people who've been supportive over what I've been through over the years, and yeah, to who I am today. And I always ensure that I surround myself with the most authentic people, people who inspire me to be the better me, the best, who bring out the best in me.
Do you have any regrets?
I don't have any regrets, and I've mentioned it so many times to some of my close friends not to regret about things, because whatever you go through shapes and molds you to who you are today. And I have developed quite a strong character thanks to all my experiences, and never live life with any regrets. That's what I believe in.
What is the future of Davina?
The future of Davina will be very creative, will be very in your face, no throwing shades. And now that I have embraced and harnessing my power to be as an influencer in the social media world and in the Fijian community in general, in Fiji and in society and in the world in general, is to share love, light, build each other up, empower, and also elevate from here and on. Because the future is not promised. Whatever you do for someone today is really important to securing your reservations in heaven. I'm also spiritual.
Thank you very much, Davina, for that incredible interview. I enjoyed speaking to you about your life, about your role as an internet celebrity, and of course, very importantly, about mental health. Stay with us. Right after the break, we speak to Natasha Weleilakeba. Hello everybody from the Big Green in Suva. It's a new fabulous little cafe in the heart of Suva City. And I'm sitting here with somebody who many of you may be familiar with, Miss Natasha Weleilakeba, or she's more commonly known and more famously known, Tash Fiji.
Yes, hello.
So Tash has been an internet sensation from high school to adulthood.
Yes.
She's been doing incredible things on Instagram. I think you have the highest Instagram following in Fiji.
I think so. I'm not too sure, but I mean, followers are just a number, so hopefully that doesn't mean anything to
The
me.
modesty is very cute,
Oh,
but
thank
let's
you.
not lie.
Trying to be humble here.
Tell me, so like, how does it feel though? You sort of have exponential growth in the number of people who follow you and your life, and your feed is quite personal. But what's the response been like for you?
So I try to make my Instagram as personal as possible because I see a lot of internet sensations or other influencers make it look like it's a task and a half, or they're just maybe masking who they really are. So I really try and make my Instagram really raw, and I really like posting things that are very personal to me, because obviously at this day and age people just want to know you on a personal level.
Yes.
Even though you may be professional in some walks of life, obviously, but Instagram is like a photo diary for me. Like, I want somebody to follow me, get to know me, know what my dad does, who my mom is, as well as what I do every day.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, tell me, so like, tell me about your family. So, what your parents do, has that had an influence or impact on your output and what it is that you do through social media?
So I'm the youngest of 5. I'm the biggest baby in my family, obviously.
Spoiled,
yes, a little bit, not too much. And my dad is in PNG. His name is Sitiveni, and my mom lives in Fiji, and her name is Lisa. So within our family, we do have a company which is around real estate. So I've basically, all my life, I've been around houses and real estate. So that's basically what I know, which is why that has led me to study business management and property, because it comes off as something natural to me. And my parents have babied me from, obviously, from birth. So me being the youngest of five, I've really seen how they get about doing business, as well as how they present themselves within the community in Fiji as well as abroad. So that's
And do you feel like that community involvement has shaped your own output?
Oh yes, definitely, because lucky for me, they've really taken me to events and things that have given me a lot of exposure in terms of how I could handle myself in different situations, as well as how I can grow as a person, like even in different situations, and just being the person I am, just making sure that I'm being real. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Yeah, that's really important these days, just to be natural and be yourself.
So, at the moment, you're a little bit stuck in Fiji,
Oh
aren't
yes,
you?
very stuck, sweetheart. Very soon, I'm about to camp at the airport, but it's good. It's been good.
So, ordinarily, could you let our viewers know? So, where do you study?
So
What are
I'm.
your experiences there? Where do you
Oh,
work? Where
okay.
do you study?
So I am currently studying in International College of Management. That's in Manly in Sydney, and I am studying business management and property, as I said before. And I'm currently working at Meriton Suites. So it's almost like it's a hotel apartment. So that's where I get my hospitality experience from as well. So it's good.
Do you miss it? Do you miss being in Sydney?
Oh yeah, obviously I really, really miss it. I've stayed there for over 3 years now, so I'm very used to the lifestyle. Like, it's very fast paced and everything. So every time I come back home, I obviously just come back to kick back and relax. So it's taken me a while to get back into the groove of Fiji time and, taking it easy, but I'm happy to be home. It's good.
But you've been busy since you've been home. I mean, especially in the last couple of months. Well, the last month or so, I've noted on your social media that you've been promoting small business.
Oh yes.
And that you've been placing yourself in situations wherein you're using your platform
Exactly.
to create awareness around what small businesses do, new small businesses as well.
Exactly.
So, I mean, how did you sort of slip into that?
So, as I said before, my parents do have their own business, and my mom has always been an entrepreneur. So I see that as a very important step into getting your own business going, is when you support other people. And using my platform as more so a little promotional platform is very important, because I mean, Fiji is a small place, but then when small businesses do start up, they need that little buffer to get their word out, and just for everybody to know that they exist, they're here, and they're wanting to make money, because COVID-19 has really affected a lot of businesses and individuals as well. So I guess me trying to reach out and help people is the best way of giving back to my Fijians and my friends and everybody else.
And it's amazing though that you were able to build up that strong following through your social media
Yes.
to be able to do that at this time. So let's talk specifically about Instagram,
Okay.
right? Let's talk
Love
about
that.
your did you have a genuine love for Instagram?
I do, because it depends on how people take it. It is what you make it out for you. It is what you make it out to be for yourself. And for me, as I said before, Instagram is like my visual diary, and I just like to post anything that really gets people to know who I really am.
There's also, I mean, there's a lot of controversy around social media.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, you have trolls, you have people
heaps.
who can be quite nasty.
Yes.
And a lot of times in our context, social media has been weaponized against people.
Exactly.
How have you dealt with that? And
So-
has it happened to you?
Oh yeah, 100%. In Fiji, there seems to be a trend where if somebody is doing well, I mean, there are trolls that come and whack you and say, hey, you're this, you're that, you're this. But then at the end of the day, I'm blessed to have parents who taught me how to have tough skin, especially in this whole social media realm, because I've obviously dealt with people come at me because like, oh, she went to international, she's just a spoiled brat, this and that. And I don't take that personally, because I work from the mindset that if they haven't met me, they don't know me, and it's just on them to think of who I am in their own mindset.
Has it been hurtful though?
At times it has been hurtful, because I've seen my own friends turn against me through social media, but I try to brush it off, because I try and be the bigger person, and I don't reply to them and be like, hey, you're nasty too. I just try and be like, thank you for your input, but I'm gonna just go about my day and just keep doing me.
Is that generally how you respond? You just say, do you thank people when they...
I'm always like, okay, thank you, but I can't do much of what I posted or how you think about me, but have a blessed day. I'm praying for you. That's it.
Do you feel like it disarms people?
I guess when I do say that, they feel that they have failed to try and drag me down, but it is what it is. I mean, I hope that one day they don't get the same treatment from somebody else, which is why I portray myself as somebody positive. And when somebody tries to drag me down, I do that. So I really don't hope for them to go through the same thing or somebody to say something nasty about them. But I guess it's just how you perceive the public. Yeah.
As a young female, you're aware, of course, of various issues that women, particularly Pacific Island women, are facing. Things in particular to do with body image issues.
Oh yes, definitely.
To do with body bullying, body shaming. Is that something? I mean, it is something that I sort of noticed as a bit of a trend. I don't think you've explicitly talked about it, but is it something that you're aware of when you're posting?
Definitely, I am aware of how body image and positivity goes about how people perceive themselves on Instagram, especially with Pacific Island women and plus size women as well. So that's why I always love trying to post things as raw as possible, so girls know, hey, it's okay to have cellulite on your thighs, or hey, it's okay to have a few blemishes on your face, So that's why it's really important just to make sure that self-image is portrayed within my Instagram, because I want girls to know that you don't have to be perfect to be posting on Instagram, especially with body image as well.
Now, I want to know about you. Tell me something that nobody else knows about Tash.
That's a good question.
I mean, look, when you live on social media,
Yeah.
right, and so much of your life, and like you said, it's a
It's
personal
on there,
diary, and it's on
yeah.
there. But what is something that's not on your social media that is you?
That's actually a really good question. What is not shown on my social media? Well, I guess it's what I do on my private time. Like sometimes I really try and step away from my phone and have some me time. So I would say I'm not going to go too much on oh my gosh, I read, I'm a smart girl. But it's more, I actually like to draw a lot. I have been not an artist, but I've taken art throughout my whole high school life. And unfortunately, I did drop that as a subject, which I do really regret. But every time I'm pressured on social media or feel the need to have some me time, I really like to draw. My favorite medium of art is watercolor. I love that. That is my absolute favorite. And I just like to spend a lot of me time and just to get with my feelings, paint it out, and then just make sure that I am with peace with myself until I go about my day.
One thing that we talked about a fair bit on Stylish across multiple episodes now is mental health and the importance of sort of ensuring that we're taking care of ourselves. How do you do that for yourself?
So I went through a very difficult stage. As everybody knew, I did have something go out in public that wasn't really supposed to go out, obviously, which I wouldn't touch too much on. So within that period of time, I have to say my mental health was really damaged from what people were saying about me, as well as how Fiji was very nasty to me. I didn't understand why my own people were diminishing me, my name, and my mistakes that I had made. So within that time, I really, as I said, got with my feelings. I cut off being on social media. I feel that it's very important that when you are overwhelmed, you have to step away from your screen and just realize what the reality of this world is. So you have to step away from your screen and realize, hey, the whole world isn't on this. There's a whole world around you. You need to step away from it and realize your blessings. You need to spend more time with your loved ones, and then you'll really feel completed and accomplished when you just push social media aside. Do things that you love with people that you love. So that's very important for me.
Coming up after the break, we continue our conversation with Natasha. So essentially what you're saying is that even for you, with such a strong following, and I mean, I'm sure that you're following, I mean, it's an achievement. It's an achievement to have what you've created. But even for you, it was important to step away.
Oh, definitely. So, as I said before, when I was going through that, I ditched my phone for about 4 months. I had no phone. I was off Instagram, off Snapchat. I was still on Facebook. I still had to, go and see my mom's selfies and my dad's posts. But other than that, I was totally cut off. I really felt the need to really get with my feelings and just try and step away from it, which I said before is very important for someone to just realize what they have around them, as well as their blessings, their loved ones, as well as where they're trying to go from now on.
Do you feel like you've recovered from that period in your life?
Oh, definitely. My motto now is you grow through what you go through. And I always try and make my negative output as something positive. Like my mom always says, there's always a golden nugget in every situation, and I literally live by that. If something happens to me and it's something negative, I'm always like, hey, I'm going to grow from this. It's going to be amazing. At least I know from now on I don't do this, so I don't end up at the same place that I am at the moment.
That's excellent. So now, in terms of your achievement, how many followers do you have now?
I have, as of this morning, 56,100.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Like I said, it is an amazing achievement.
Thank you so much.
An amazing achievement. And I think it's testament to the fact that people are interested in your life.
Yes.
And your authenticity, which I think is beautiful. Are the follower numbers to you important? Is this something that you try to grow? Is it something that you cultivate? Or is it something that just happens naturally?
For me, I reckon that I'm blessed to have this amount of followers, but personally, for me, it's just a number. I'm fortunate enough for people to be like, hey, I'm going to follow her because she seems like a cool person to follow, or I like her hair, what's her hair routine? But for me, I definitely don't define myself as to the number of people who follow me or the number of likes that I have. And that's one thing that I really try and get across, like as point-wise, to young girls or people in the community, is that you shouldn't define yourself through Instagram likes, Facebook likes, or the amount of views you get on your story or things like that, because it really diminishes somebody when they're trying to get a certain amount of likes and they don't get it. So their self-esteem gets affected. So I really don't want that for anyone, and that's why, to me, it doesn't define me.
So in your space, I mean, as an influencer,
Yes.
right? Well, first, how do you respond to that? How do you respond to somebody saying, oh, Tash Fiji is an influencer?
At first, it was quite funny. I was like, okay, please don't call me that. I am definitely not an influencer. But as you've probably seen in my Instagram, I've started to work with big brands throughout Australia and worldwide. So as soon as I stepped into monetizing my Instagram, then I realized, okay, I'm quite a bit of an influencer.
Could you just explain what monetization means in social media terms?
So through Instagram, you are able to make money, which is monetizing through Instagram. And basically, companies do reach out to influencers as well as other individuals who have not the amount of following that they want, but the right aesthetic that you have through your posts to promote their brand, as well as a certain product or a service that they are willing to offer for your followers as well as yourself. So you do get paid for it, obviously. You either do a contra type of collaboration, which means that they do send you products and you advertise it for them, or you do get paid for it. So it depends on the kind of collaboration you're trying to do, but it's really good. I reckon that a lot of people could start doing collaborations and monetize from Instagram with even less than 10,000 followers. Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that your ability to monetize has come from, I mean, obviously it can't just be your followers, you've said aesthetic as well, so is it your confidence?
I think that confidence is one of the key factors that collaborations and brands do take into consideration, but it's more about how you do post, as well as how you post it, how creative you are, as well as your captions. I am very surprised. Captions are very important to collaborations, and how you really push to have your product seen, as well as how you convince people for them to buy it so that you can get money too. So it's a little bit of a, you use my discount code, and then, it's a win-win. If you get a discount,
Yes.
I get a bit of,
Yeah.
so it's good.
Well, that's excellent. Is this something that you think that other people could pursue?
Definitely. I've seen, even through the social media platform of TikTok, there's a lot of educational videos on how people can monetize Instagram as well as start their own businesses. So I really think it's very important for businesses as well as entrepreneurs or even young people in general to look into monetizing their Instagram, because it's a very good stream to make money for yourself. Even though you are working, at least you're getting out extra cash.
It's like a side hustle.
Oh yeah, definitely. Side hustle for real, yeah.
So now, changing tact a little bit, so how important do you think it is now that you've been working, for example, with the Big Green, with Juice Fiji, how important do you think it is for Fijian businesses to utilize social media to grow their businesses, both locally, regionally, and internationally? Because as you've said, you are now not just an influencer in Fiji, but you are actually an influencer in external markets,
Yeah.
so in Australia and other brands. So how important do you think it is for local brands of any sort to engage social media strongly?
I have to say it is very, very, very important. I cannot stress more. It is very important to make sure that you do have a social media presence, even if it's a side hustle for a business that you're starting off, to big brands in Fiji as well as entrepreneurs who are starting out. The reason being because of that is because everyone is on social media. Whether it's your uncle who's 65 years old, your cousin who is 15, or us two who are literally in our...
We're the same age.
We're the same age, don't you worry. It's very important because everyone is on Instagram, everybody is on social media, and that is how you reach your target audience as well as the target market that you're going for. So in that way, people don't really read the newspapers or look into magazines. It's all digitalized now. So it's very important to make sure that you advertise your product and service nicely, as well as have other people post about it to get your word out there, as well as make sure that your business or your side hustle is out there to be very popular.
Excellent, excellent, excellent advice for small business, especially right now.
Yes, definitely.
Now, before we leave, tell me about your style. What is your style inspiration?
Yes. Well, for now, obviously, look at me, I'm quite basic today, but that's a good question. I try and have a very chill style. I'm not too over the top, because I reckon my dad is really over the top and my mom is too over the top, so I try and be the median. I'm trying to, be the cute one, so I stick to my base colors. I like my blacks, I like my whites, and I like a bit of statement, as you can see. So that's really important to me. But I mean, we're trying not to compete with you with all of these. And I like my rings. My rings are very important to me.
Oh, me too, yeah.
Yes. Sentimental value to rings and jewelry is very important to me. And that's something that I really love. I love piercings, as you can see. My dad doesn't like them, but it's okay.
Okay, now we're getting towards the last questions, I promise. But tell me, we live in an interesting society. So, I mean, you've lived away for a couple of years and now you've come back and you're sort of back in the swing of things. And culture, interpreted in very particular ways, is important to people.
Yes.
Have you come up against that in any way? Or how do you work with culture as a young Indigenous Fijian woman?
So, as a young Indigenous Fijian woman that is living in Australia, it's actually quite interesting. It's more of a flex than it is to be looked down upon, is because everybody thinks like, oh, you're from Fiji, you're so exotic. That's the main word people use, exotic. You're so exotic because you're from the islands. But the biggest misconception that people have, not in Australia and New Zealand, it's more abroad as far as America, is that we still live in huts, we don't have any internet, and we don't have any cell phones. So to me, it is quite offensive, but then I'm just like, oh, hey, Fiji water? Yeah, that's where it's from. We do have buildings, we do have internet, that's why I'm here. I talk English. That's a very big thing that they're surprised of, is that we have amazing English in Fiji. So it's just a perception that people have of Fiji, but in terms of culture as a whole, people love meeting people from Fiji, whether it's in Australia, in New Zealand, or wherever you go, because as I said before, they really think that it's very cool to be from an island. But one thing they think of is, I think we swim every day. We go to the beach and we relax, but see, they don't know that we're really working, on businesses and things like that. But it's really nice to be from Fiji and be from a very small, beautiful island.
So, okay, now really the last question. What
Thank
is...
you, Buzz.
You're just so interesting. So what is the future of Tash Fiji?
So the future of Tash Fiji, well, that is an interesting question because ever since I've been in Fiji, I've taken time out to really think about what you just asked. So I've been thinking of a lot of opportunities for myself and my brand as Tash Fiji. So hopefully, if you watch this space, I'm launching my own brand very, very soon. So it is apparel, but I'm not too sure if it's gonna be either swimwear or just streetwear. So I'm hoping to get into that. It's a bit secretive at the moment, but if you tune in...
But you heard it here first, everybody.
Yes, you heard it here
and
first.
You have to promise me that I'll be the first to cover it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Done.
Yes, so that's the future of Tash Fiji at the moment, as well as working with other local brands and collaborate more to just get more Fiji businesses out there to the world.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You are such an incredible young woman, and we're so grateful to have you on. So incredible to have you on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. That was fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to my two very special guests and letting us in to see behind the scenes into your incredibly colorful lives. Coming up next week on Stylish, join me as I speak to 5 incredible people involved in the modeling industry in Fiji.